Dukes Nation, this is your home for all things Duquesne University athletics, whether it's basketball or football or soccer or lacrosse or volleyball, track and field, golf, swimming, you name it, everything in between. If it's happening at UPMC Cooper Fieldhouse, Arthur J. Rooney Athletic Field, or anywhere our Dukes play, you're going to hear about it here. Hello and welcome, Dukes fans. You are looking at co-producer Rudy Longarini inside the worldwide headquarters and studios of all Dukes Sports Talk. I'm Bob Healy III, joined as always by Nick Frost, and we are uniting Dukes Nation for a conversation on all things Duquesne University athletics. So without further ado, let's get to it, and let's go Dukes! Dukes Nation, it is all Dukes Sports Talk once again. Bob Healy III here in Pittsburgh with you. Our man Rudy Longarini from out in California State once again joins us. Nick Frost is going to take an episode off, and he'll try to be back with us just as soon as possible, although Nick Frost did give us his thoughts from the last Duquesne men's basketball game because he was down courtside working security slash usher duties. Taking his place this week is Mr. Colan O'Donoghue, and if that name sounds familiar to you guys, Colan was one of the student managers for Duquesne men's basketball during their magical run in 2024. He actually finished in 2025. He's a recent graduate. Colan was a student of mine in the sports information and media major, and he was kind enough to join us tonight in place of Nick and give us his thoughts about all things Duquesne athletics. Colan was the head student manager his senior year alongside Drew Weil. Drew is also, away from the program now. Drew graduated in the same month and year that Colan did. But Colan joins us to just kind of talk Dukes again, share some memories, get his thoughts on the season. So, Colan, thanks so much, buddy, for joining us.
Yeah, glad to be here. Obviously, I graduated, but the fandom hasn't left me at all. Still huge Duquesne basketball fan, both men and women's. I think the teams this year have a really good shot of going far, especially in the postseason. And glad to talk some ball here.
Colan, I was admiring your background. It's definitely much more current than mine is. I got a lot of old stuff up on the wall, and then Rudy's got all the digital graphics. So you're like the combination of us here. With you got modern graphics, and you got a nice setup here, a lot more color. My pictures are all black and white, but that's a nice collection back there.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, mine is definitely the magical run, the 2-week magical run. If you could bottle all that up in posters and banners and throw it up on the wall, that's what it is. So that's what we're dealing with. But love to show it off. I'm glad I am able to show it off here.
So, Conlon, let's just get right into something here. I was at the last game, just this recent. It was yesterday, in fact. We're recording on Sunday, December 7th. So yesterday, Saturday, December 6th, the Dukes the Dukes won against Stonybrook. 84-75. Before that, on Tuesday, December 2nd, the Dukes lost a home game, 83-79. I'll be quite honest, there were some coaching decisions toward the end of both of those games I wasn't crazy about. Now, I haven't been in the huddles on a basketball sideline since grade school, if you don't count the coaching I do for youth in Baldwin, Whitehall. You were on that sideline with Drew Joyce, Keith Dambrot, and all those guys for the last couple of years. And a lot of the same players. I just didn't like that after following full timeouts, we sort of came out with the game on a line a couple times these last couple games. And against William and Mary, blew a chance to tie it. Against Stonybrook, we kind of got bailed out late, I thought, when Ginyard got fouled on a terrible shot choice with like 48 seconds left. If you remember that play, deep in the corner, he got fouled shooting a three. You almost never see that get called. It was a desperation with the shot clock winding down. And that would have been a great turnover for Stonybrook to come back because they were storming back in that game. So why don't you tell us, Colan, your thoughts on just like end of game stuff? Like what is the Dambrot Joyce sort of playing with a lead or playing to tie scenario there? And does it strike you as being similar to what you saw when Dambrot was there? I guess I'm just looking for your thoughts on the end of game stuff because I just haven't been crazy about it the last week.
Yeah, so I would say based on my past experiences, and again, I was with Dambrot was the head coach for 2 years that I was there. Drew Joyce last year, my senior year. Both different, both positive in a good way. Dambrot, I definitely would say, and again, Drew's been around. He's definitely got experience too. But I would say Dambrot, there was a lot more. Okay, I've been in this position 1,000 times. So like, focus on me. This isn't the first time I've been in these type of situations. Drew obviously is newer. This is second year. However, I would say that Drew definitely brings a calming you're not all built up like with nerves and like, oh, you're all anxious. Even though sometimes it kind of looks like that out of the huddle and when we're inbounding and stuff. Drew definitely calms the guys down, gets them kind of block out the crowd noise if possible because there's some hostile places to play in the A10. But yeah, so I mean, I watched both games. And I think honestly, this early in the year, I do think William and Mary is a good team who could make a shot at the CAA championship. But yeah, I think it's a learning experience, honestly. And I know I hate to say that because you don't want every game to be a learning experience. But you lose a game like William and Mary, and then you bounce back late, like you said. You kind of definitely got lucky on that foul call. I didn't the reviews and the zoom ins you couldn't really tell too much, but yeah, I think you just kind of got to take what you can, and you drop one, but then you bounce back and get a good win after that. So
Yeah, I mean, Rudy, I certainly have no problem putting the ball in Ginyard's hands there late. We've all loved everything we've seen out of Ginyard. I'm assuming Conlon as well, but we'll get to him on that. But, Rudy, you're a big Ginyard guy. I mean, the ball's in his hands, but for us to have that attempt, late in the game, only up by 6, that would have been a chance for them, for Stony Brook to come down and cut it to a one possession game. I just found that to be a weird play to draw up coming out of the timeout. And I thought the same way in the game against William and Mary when Dukes had a chance late. We came out of a full timeout, and again, I think he just got a poor shot choice. If Rudy, I can imagine you were screaming at your TV out there in California.
Well, dude, I don't know. You're talking about Drew. Let's be honest. I mean, this is only his second year as a head coach, right?
Yeah, right,
So,
right.
and probably he's still going through a learning experience, just coaching, and on these late minute, late game situations, and dude, it was so interesting on the Sacred Heart game. Uh, we took what, a 5 or 6 point lead with about 3 or 4 minutes left. Maximus had, like in the last 2 minutes, had a 3 point shot opportunity with nobody down there guarding him, and he put it up and he missed. And
Rudy,
we
I
couldn't.
think you're confused. I don't know. We played Sacred Heart back in November. Are you talking about Stony Brook?
No, our previous game was what?
William and Mary.
William,
William, I'm sorry, William and Mary. I'm Sacred
Talking
Heart.
Sacred Heart, but I'm going back looking through the
I'm going
play-by-play. I'm like,
back
what the hell is
oh
this
my
guy
goodness,
talking
I haven't
about?
watched that game. I don't know if
I'm
I remember.
sorry, dude. I'm sorry, dude. Confusing the hell out of everybody. No,
The William
William
and
and
Mary
Mary.
game. Sure, sure.
Yeah. And so he had uh an open look, and he just couldn't hit it. And we couldn't get anything mustered to the basket after
Yeah,
that.
that was about a
So
three and a half minutes left in the game, and Max, it was a tie game. He missed that three-pointer, followed up by a foul by Dixon. And yeah, that game we ended up coming back to get we
a
we
five
never I
point
think
lead.
well, yeah, if I'm not mistaken, that was the last chance we had. It was 74 all, and that was about 3.5 minutes left. The William Mary made a couple of free throws. The Dukes ended up getting one free throw, and then a layup from William and Mary, a layup from Dave Dixon. We started trading buckets there, but we never did draw even again. I mean, that was the chance right there. That would have put us up by 3. But yeah, the Dukes did. I will say, I will give us credit for roaring back in that game against William Mary and that was another game I got to see in person where the Dukes were down early in that game a lot. For those of you who watched it, know that we did not get off to a good start. At one point it was a 12 point, 15. Actually, I'm going through the play-by-play to make sure I'm correct. It's a 15-point disadvantage twice in the first half. Got up to 16 at one point in the first half, and the Dukes just kept chipping away and chipping away and chipping away, which makes it so much harder to stomach. When you come back in the second half, but we see this sometimes too, don't we, Colin, where teams use up all of their energy going on that run, right? And I'm sure you saw this firsthand on the bench. Teams use up all this energy on that run, and then late in the game, because you're expending all of your best players out there and you're kind of shortening your rotation to just pull back and you're full court pressing, you're doing everything you can. At the end of the game, you're just out of gas, right?
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I was going to bring up when you were talking about that. Like in a situation like that, it's so hard because the momentum is such a big thing. Like that William and Mary game, being down, you climb all the way back. Like I know the situation. You look back on it now, and I'm sure they did it in film too. Max probably didn't need to, shoot that three, but like when the momentum, if you hit that, like the place is just gonna go, nuts. So I think
Very
the
true. Very true.
momentum
Yeah.
and everyone's screaming at you. So I'm sure when he got the ball and saw that he had a little bit of room, he is a pretty he's a shooter that if one goes in, he's gonna shoot them all. So I'm sure it was like I'm sending this up and seeing where it goes from there. Yeah, I mean, you're talking that's a 70. I mean, that's a huge with under 4 minutes, you'd have a 3-point lead. So I don't fault. I think you almost have to just blame that up to the momentum and that type of game. You come all the way back, it's tied, and you want
Uh,
to chase the lead for sure.
Yeah, we're gonna look at some video, by the way, of the William and Mary game, guys. I want to once again give credit to Nick Apria and his crew from Duquesne Athletics for hooking us up with these. So I got about a 3-minute highlight video I want to share with you all. By the way, folks who are watching, listening, you can always see the videos that we are showing on the show also on the YouTube page. So do make sure that you're not only liking and sharing the video, but subscribing. And if you do so, you'll also get to see these highlight videos as separate links altogether. Let me go ahead and bring up the William and Mary highlights, guys. We'll take a look at this and Rudy, these are unedited, right? So we're going to see good and bad from both sides here.
right.
In this case, I'll turn the volume down just a little bit, so we'll get there to play-by-play, guys, just a tid.
Open a first shot right away from Wahlberg 8. Right. Haskins decides to hoist. Awkward angle.
Yeah, and this is part, obviously, of that big run early on. I will say William and Mary did shoot very well, but guys, at what point does it become other teams are shooting very well, or we're just not covering the three very well? It can't just be a coincidence, right? The other teams are shooting very well in our gym all the time, it seems. I don't know what that is. I know DeMichael's back. He's not playing, obviously, every minute. And there's a dunk, by the way, that Max Edwards made. I think if he makes that dunk toward the end of the first half, by the way, that might have really helped. You guys know what play I'm talking about when he had a chance at the end of the first half to make a dunk and didn't get it to fall. But
we could have cut the game to 3 points or something.
Yeah, at the half, and it would have been a good momentum swing coming out of the end of that half that way. And it being an exclamation point dunk too, it was a shame it didn't go down for him. Here's Edwards hitting the three. And by the way, I like Max. I think Max shoots well. I like when Max feels confident. I think when Max is a confident player, his athleticism just overwhelms everybody. Colin, you got to witness him in practice, and the take on him was he could jump through the gym, right?
That for sure. And two, you can always tell when Max is feeling confident because that's when he drives and does those little quick athletic moves where it's almost like he's falling over. And that's when you know, like, okay, he's feeling it. He's going for it because those are the moves he was hitting at George Washington. And I do feel once he gets rolling, I'm like, give him the ball.
Yeah.
He doesn't tend to make too many mistakes, but I think emotion.
And here we have the highlights of William and Mary. It's getting a little staticky, but anyway, we're going to be able to show it. I'm going to edit it and without the stair stepping.
And I do, and by the way, Dave Dixon. Here's my only issue with Dave, guys. This was quite an athletic play. That was huge for the part of the comeback there. I love seeing the big man do that. That was also another big play there by Ginyard. One thing I'll say about Dave Dixon is he seems to be really, really, really good, like the best player in the game for maybe like 5-minute bursts. Like when Dave wants to take over the game, he'll do it for 5 or 6 minutes. That should have been a technical foul, by the way. He got away with that one. That should have been a 5. His 5 or 6 minute spurts out of Dixon are great, and then he sort of just struggles after that. It seems like when he's not dominating, he's fouling. You know what I mean? Or he's not finishing. He's turning the ball over. It's the strangest thing.
But if you realized, we were talking about the number of minutes that he's going to average 15 to 20. And, the last 2 games, I think he's averaged 22 minutes. So I think they're putting him in more because he moves the ball better on the offense. It seems to click around the horn a little bit better with him in the offense. With Hughley on the bench, and so this experiment where I thought that we should be keep Hughley and Dixon on the court at the same time. I think we can't do that because Hughley I don't think is a rim protector like Dixon, and so if you can't stop the guys in the front court from getting and penetrating and getting 3-point shots, well, you need a rim protector like Dixon, and so that's why I think he's been playing more of the last two games, and I encourage it.
I don't disagree with that. I just my concerns are with bigs on the floor, you have trouble defending the three, and 50% from three for William and Mary. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know if that's around their average or not. No one averages 50% from three. So, but I just don't understand where we're falling short on that. I know Jake's back and they're trying to work him into the lineup and get him in shape. But Colin, do you have any idea like what's happening on the perimeter? Why other teams are getting, even if they seem to be uncontested, I don't know if we're just a half a step behind getting a hand in their face, but teams are shooting the lights out on us from three, and it's frankly causing us almost an upset against Stony Brook. It cost us the game against William and Mary.
Yeah, so I think that you're 100% correct. Obviously, it feels like every time that we play somebody, there's a Hall of Famer in the building for the opposing team.
Yeah.
It's going crazy. And I think it's you honestly can't say, "Oh, well, they were just hot," because it feels like every team that has come in has been hot.
Yeah, it can't be everybody.
No, it can't be everybody.
Dude,
I think
we're giving up 80 points. We're giving up the most points of anybody in the A10 out of 14 teams, right?
Yeah, and that's not a Dambrot staple, right, Colin? I mean, defense
no,
was
it was always you always if he always said if we held it under 65, it would be
Right.
most, really.
Those
I think
days are gone, dude.
I think it is too. Offensively we're producing, but yeah, it's a lot of schematics. If it's you try to force guys inside, and if they don't want to go inside, just got to do a better job of, like you said, guarding the perimeter. And I think they'll figure it out, but it's hard to watch right now. I'll tell you that much because it just feels like every shot that's going up is going down for the opponent.
And obviously,
Yeah.
when you do those things and you make yourself vulnerable underneath, that's the trade-off. One thing that I can't quite wrap my head around yet, and it could just be that what this will regress to the mean, is that teams won't shoot so hot, and we'll just be sitting here talking about the perimeter defense being back to normal. Maybe, guys, it's as simple as that. But it's starting to become a trend where this is happening too often. Let me go ahead and bring up the box score for the Stony Brook game, and we'll take a look at those numbers as well because that was also an impressive shooting performance. And I'm just going to bring up the numbers there. And when this starts to become a trend, you start to think more it's not just a coincidence and that this is our mean. But this is a game, again, you're happy to get the win. I don't think Stony Brook's a bad team. But let's look at these numbers again. So from 3-point, we can live with this, right? 33.3, that's doable. Certainly doable. I did, by the way, this guy, though, I will give some credit to. This number 12 for Stony Brook was fantastic.
Unbelievable.
Richard Goods, that he's like the prototype kind of new player. He has an NBA body where he can come out and shoot.
You're talking 5 offensive rebounds, 5 defensive rebounds, 4 for 6 from deep, and he gets I wouldn't say he gets to the line, but he gets his field goals up. That's for sure.
And he looked really good against Dixon and Hughley. You're talking about 2 big bodies to have to work down there, especially Hughley. But he more than held his own offensively against Hughley. And luckily for us, Big John went off again, though, scoring 25 points after having, I want to say, like 2 points in the previous game. Hughley, 8 for 15 from the field. I mean, he's going to end up breaking like field goal percentage records for the Dukes this season because he gets himself such good looks underneath. 7 for 8 from free throw. You got to love that. That was sorely missing last year. That was a big bugaboo, wasn't it, last season, Colin, was we just could not make a free throw to save our lives. What happens, by the way, in defense in practice? Is it as simple as committing a half hour at the end of every practice to shoot free throws? Give us some insight there.
I feel like that was the most frustrating thing was, we do these things during practice where it's, in between, maybe if it's in between a drill or, guys aren't doing it, Drew will put everybody on the line and call a name, and you got to go up and shoot a free throw. And if you miss, you got to do a down and back, or sometimes 2 down and backs. So you had those opportunities where last year guys would miss it, and you're doing down and backs. So that was an attempt to fix, which I did feel like as the year went on, we got better because the beginning of the year was just hard to watch. And then, like you said, yes, at the end of every practice, it's each guy. Sometimes the end, sometimes the beginning, it's 100 shots for each guy. And then it's on the managers to count. So we have to count and keep track. And then, I usually would put them down in my notes on my phone. And Drew obviously not gonna, what's it? What is it? No, he would just come around at the end. I kind of give him a list. Someone else would give him a list, and and if put it this way, I mean, it's hard because game situations are so much different. A guy could shoot 90 out of 100 free throws, and then they get in a game and go over 2 in crunch time.
Yeah.
But there's definitely ways that they definitely, like last year's team. I won't say that they were just they were improving. It was just not translating on the court, free throw wise.
What we do on our team in youth is we'll have a girl take a shot, and if she makes it, we don't have to run. And it puts all the pressure on her. I know it's cliche to do that, but it's amazing. If you put a little bit it's like the end of football practice when you tell the kicker, if you make this 40-yarder, the team doesn't run. And so now we're all pulling for him, and the pressure's on it. It honestly does, I think, sharpen their iron a little bit. Nick Frost wanted to also comment on number 12, looking fantastic. He actually mentioned he wouldn't mind possibly targeting that guy as a transfer after this season. He would look good in red and blue. Nick pointed out, he thought Dixon banged up his shoulder, pretty good, which is why he missed most of the second half. Nick had a pretty good look down there on the court. Said he had a heat wrap on it, leaving the tunnel. He had some sort of compression sling thing on it during part of the second half. Also thought that Milosevic hurt his hand, which he had heavily wrapped up, almost looked like a cast. He saw that in warmups. So we didn't see from him, Milosevic. So just some heads up from Nick Frost. So thanks to him on the courtside report. I'm going to go ahead and bring up some Stonybrook highlights, by the way. There's plenty to like about this here. You guys feel free to chime in as it plays. We don't have any highlights for the women to get to because they didn't play at home, but we'll certainly talk about the ladies next. So here come the Stonybrook highlights, guys. From what I did see, again, I have no problems offensively. And I want to say, and this is perhaps glass half full or maybe even just a careless optimist, is I want to say that when things get to conference time and Coach Drew starts to figure out, more of, look, guys got their playing time and guys got their points and guys who transferred here have got their minutes, right? So they're all happy and they're putting stuff on tape. Maybe as the season gets more serious, if you will, right, and the games start to really count in the standings, you kind of do away, you tighten up, right? I mean, I think that's fair in the era of the transfer portal to suggest such a thing. That it's hard to manage all of these personalities and all these players in this big roster with all the depth that we like, because these guys all got to eat. But when you get into conference time and it means more to win and lose, maybe that's when we'll start to see things tighten up.
Very adept at all that, and also.
Boy, I love watching John Hughley step back and make a three. How do you guard against a guy like that?
No, you can't, man. And
Dixon will do it
good form,
sometimes too.
And he's got good form, man, too.
He does.
I want.
And he's so big, he's one of those guys, he just pushes. He doesn't even have to jump.
He's hit it in big moments too, like Xavier last year in the first 4. He hit that 3. Like he does like that shot. It goes in for most of the time.
That's well.
Yeah, he doesn't. I love that. You get away with some offense there when you're so much bigger than guys.
Yeah.
On the wing, no good.
Boy, this is the John Hughley show so far, and he gets his own rebound there and tapping it in. I like when Dixon steps back every now and then and hits a 3-2, which is pretty cool. I'm still a big Dave Dixon guy. I love him for 5 or 6 minute spurts where he looks like he's the best guy on the floor, and he's such an energy guy. And then he's a turnover machine and a foul machine like the rest of the game sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Another 3 ball, and again, and Dave Dixon's hands in his face. This guy still hits it. It just, I don't know. Part of me thinks this will regress to the mean for us, especially with DeMichael back getting more playing time.
Yeah, I tend to agree because, I mean, these guys from William and Mary, they're like the most up-tempo team in the country. They're like they really push the ball up. And these guys, once they get it on 3, man, quickest release. I mean, those guys quick release.
Nice touch again there by Hughley in the paint. I love that. I try to teach my bigs the same thing. You get the ball in the paint, don't bring it back down and dribble it. You're already in the paint. That's why we put you there. Put it up, right?
Michael layup.
And DeMichael getting his 2 points here.
Looks healthy.
Yeah,
does.
he looks healthy.
Sorely
Most
missed
important-
last year, huh, Conlon?
Oh my gosh. So just you watched it in the Cayman Island. I mean, he was on the Cayman Islands all tournament team.
I know.
Just a winning player makes, just winning plays. But yeah, definitely could have used him more for that success.
Yeah, I missed one of those Mr. Fundamental guys and a good leader. There's another
Yeah.
look at the Dixon play. I do love this about Dave. That's why I like. He's an energy guy. He's a leader. When he's dominating like this, his body language is contagious too. That's why I like it. I like dunks. I like exclamation points like that. I like having a guy in your team who does those things. I know they're all worth 2 points, but you can tell. I mean, Conlon, you know how it feels like on that bench. Whenever someone does something like that, it matters more, right?
On the way up, but finish strong.
Yeah, I mean, he gets all the energy going, and then he hits a couple of these, and the fans start doing it, and
Yeah.
Exactly.
Notice, guys, who got the ball to him?
Off the bench.
Edwards.
Edwards, yeah, that's right.
Edwards on that dunk on that highlight dunk that we saw 2 or 3 games ago. Who got him the ball?
Yeah, right.
Just
Conlon, take us inside the locker room when it comes to these non-conference games, when guys start to get minutes and they start heavy rotation. I mean, is it a healthy competition? Is there any kind of, anger that like, hey, I'm not getting my time? Like, Savrasov in that magical 24 year, he was a big part of the non-conference schedule, right? And then he just found his way out of the rotation. I mean, does the competition get healthy? Is there animosity?
it's a variety of things. I think the 23-24 team is a really good example of that because not only did you have Andre, who started almost every non-conference game, but you also had Kalan, who
Right.
you had Hassan Drame, who was Fusini's brother, who he was playing in the Nebraska game and all that stuff. Now we didn't get Dushan until pretty much conference time. It's a lot of different things, though. I feel like the fans, you would think it's butting of the heads between guys, like, oh, I'm better than him, stuff like that. A lot of the time, it's these players in practice thinking that they're better in certain formations, stuff like that. So it's a lot of more problems with the coaches thinking they should get more minutes. I think the biggest thing is non-conference time, like you said before, this is their opportunity. I mean, you can't say you didn't get an opportunity. We've seen a variety of guys, Alex Williams, Brandon Hall.
Right.
A lot of guys have
Tom Akins
have gotten minutes, gotten opportunities. And
yeah. By the way, pardon my interruption real quick. I know what Rudy's about to say. That's our guy Netjith, who I just think needs to shoot more. So you just think, I got no problems with him shooting.
You know what Ben said, the announcer said?
Who, Timmy?
He said that Drew literally begs him to literally is saying, dude, you got to make the open shot. You got to take it.
Because 23-24 year, he was lethal from the 3-point range.
He was huge. He was clutch, and he was hitting. He was the guy. I mean, he was in the conference tournament, and in the postseason. Yes. How many times did we go to him for a big three?
Yes, and I think last year he almost felt like he had to do he almost had to do the 3-4-5 role. Yeah. Where I think that's kind of rubbing off a little bit where he feels like he has to do a lot, but this is too talented of a team. You don't and I think he'll figure it out. And once he does, he'll be just as, he's one of the best defenders, I think, on this team.
By the way, this play here, there was a group of young men sitting in front of me at the game who really, really appreciated this layup. And those who like to wager on basketball know what I'm talking about. So I want to say it was like an 8.5 point spread. So these young men in front of me were watching the game, and they were sweating it out when, toward the end of the game, it looked like it wasn't going to cover. And then that interception of that pass there, was that Jimmy Williams, I believe?
Yep.
Who went down and scored his 16th and 17th points there with that layup late. That actually gave the Dukes to cover the spread, and you could see the relief on these guys' faces in front of me. It reminded me of I honestly don't know who said this originally, but Mike Pursuta, who's a sports reporter for WDVE in Pittsburgh, he said, listen, you want to make do you think this Division II women's lacrosse game is exciting? You want to watch it? And the guy was like, no, I don't want to watch it. He goes, you want to know how to make it really exciting? And start putting money on it.
Yeah.
These guys were pretty elated.
You can that's the thing with boxing and UFC, I feel like a lot too, is you don't know who the heck these guys are. As soon as you put money on them, it gets a heck of a lot more interesting. That's for sure.
Oh, I mean, I go to youth boxing matches and there's people trading dollars in the stands. But I'll take red corner, you take blue corner. But anyway, it is nice anyway to see them win at least convincingly, right? To cover. Not that I think the Dukes have um any dreams of getting an at-large bid this year or anything. But that being said, it's for confidence wise, you want to get things right heading into A10 play. The Dukes are going to take a trip coming up, guys. Now the men's team are going to head west. And we've been looking at this one for a while on this podcast. So the Dukes now head to not exactly the West Coast, but as you can see, they're going to go over in the mountain areas and they're going to play Idaho. That game will be available on Mountain West Network if you're able to find that somehow. At Boise State at 9 p.m. Eastern. That's Wednesday, December 10th. And then Rudy's going to go to a game at Nevada to watch the Dukes play the Wolfpack. That's 10 p.m. Eastern back here. That's on December 13th. Hey, Colin, when the team goes on these long road trips, and you were a part of these for what, 3 seasons, right? Or was
Yep,
it four? I guess
exactly.
three. Right? You were making a lot of these trips. I like to think of it like a hockey team. They say like some of the closest these guys will get is when they go like west, and like the Penguins would go visit, or the Flyers, or whomever you follow out here in the East. They go west and they play like Edmonton and Calgary, and it's like, you know what? If they can go there and even split or just show up well, like those are the best bonding opportunities, right? Those are where the real deep connections are made. And when you're on the road and you're far from home and you've been traveling with the same crew for a week, that's when you really start to lean on each other and trust each other. Am I wrong?
No, you're 100% correct. It's definitely like a road trip is one thing, bonding experience, but when you have one that's like either two games or a conference tournament, March Madness, oh my gosh,
Hmm. Hmm.
those were hands down because you're around the same people. You have, oh, you get, 2 hours if you want to go take a walk around, like, like like city of Omaha or whatever, like just little examples like that. And I think the mindset going into it is like, yeah, obviously splitting, I think, as a fan perspective is huge because I think we could honestly do that. As a player and as a team, the biggest thing is you go into it like you want to win because it's not you're playing a game, you're getting on a plane, you're flying home. No, you're playing a game and then you're staying there. So you definitely want to have a win under your belt going into Nevada. And if you say you lose, to Boise State, then you have an opportunity to beat Nevada and come home riding high off a win. So
Yeah.
it's a good opportunity. And yeah, I would 100% agree. The bonding, that's the type of trip that, gets the team camaraderie. And I think the team camaraderie this year is pretty good from what I've heard.
Boise State 6-3, coming off a win on Saturday over Butler. That game was at Hinkle Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, 77-68. So you got a 6-3 Boise State team. It'd be a nice road win for the Dukes. Again, I don't. It's a shame that the game against William and Mary, which I think was a second tier. I'm losing the terminology on this.
But
Thank you. Quad would have been a quad two win if I'm not mistaken. So it's a shame to lose that one at home. But again, just to reiterate, guys, I don't think this is a Dukes team that's going to compete for an at large, despite how top heavy the A10 is. I think the A10 really is very top heavy this year. I've been impressed with the early rankings I've seen so far out of the top teams in the A10. So I'm just looking for them to compete well in the conference. This is a team that honestly it feels a little bit like the team from 24 in that they could actually they have the depth where they could win this whole thing. I don't see them as not being able to compete with the rest of the conference. I hate to keep going back to that year as if that's the tell-all be-all, but I feel like there's a lot of similarities, I think, in terms of the kind of roles that they have on this team and the kind of size and the depth they have at each position. And that's just kind of how it feels to me. But I still want to win the non-conference games. By the way, Nevada 7-3 overall. So you're looking at two teams that are off to a decent start. They're coming off a win at Washington State, by the way,
Yeah, well,
Nevada.
I'm looking at ESPN and that we got a 28% chance, according to them, to win at Boise State. I haven't looked at Nevada yet, but these guys are out west here. They're not. They may not play the hardcore, in your face, hard fouls like we play in the Northeast. You know, but these guys are not to be trifled with. I'll tell you can you recall a moment, Conlon, when you were with the program that like
hey, we're going to be okay. I mean, after that team started 0-5 and 24, that was like, oh my God, come to Jesus. But I do remember you telling me in class when we were talking about that team throughout that spring, like, boy, this is shaping up a little bit here. It's shaping. And you told me you're like, why don't you just screw around and win this whole thing? What was the turning point? Was it a road
Yeah.
game? Was it a home game? Was there a moment where you thought, oh, you know what, guys, we could kind of beat anybody? Does anyone
Well,
stick
yeah.
out to
So
you?
I have a great story. So, whatchamacallit? So we were 0-5, but if you remember the 5 games that we lost, like it was at St. Joe's on USA Network and it was a tip-in. Richmond at
Oh
home
yeah.
barely
Yeah.
came down. Could have won that game. Kind of got boned on some calls. We
Yeah,
really
there were
had
a
a
lot
lot
of
of,
heartbreakers.
kind of heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, 0-5. So it wasn't like, my gosh, we're just getting obliterated. We definitely knew we had the talent. It was just so frustrating because you're at the bottom of the conference and you know you have to work your way up. And the turning point easily that I think I would say was the turning point, I think a lot of other people say, was when they were 0-5, we did bring in BB Flannery, which is funny because I know he was supposed to be on the show. And he talked to the team and he said, listen, like it's not going to matter. He said, he said, if you guys win the A10 tournament and punch a ticket to March Madness, and again, this is in like January, he goes, do you think like any of the fans are going to remember going 0-5 in conference play? He goes, I think that team, the most recent team before our team, they were on like an 0-3 skid at one point. So I think he really reflected on that. And I just remember after hearing that, we're like, we're good. We know we have the talent. We know we can, win some games. We've only lost these close games by a couple points, couple different tips. So that was definitely a turning point. And then once we started to win, yeah, we beat St. Bonaventure, beat Fordham, beat Chicago State. We really started to cruise. At Rhode Island, I remember that was my first road trip away that we won.
But Conlon, you were just saying about the Rhode Island win, especially. It was a trip that you went on when the Dukes went to Rhode Island and won 85-71 and part of that magical 24 run. That's when things started to kind of gel, right? And you really felt the momentum.
That was a big win, obviously, on the road. It was a cold Saturday in February. And not only did we win, we won convincingly. And I think that, that was a big spark because it showed that we could go on the road and not only, win off of a lucky basket. No, if you go on the road and you win convincingly, that's enough to spark a team that any future road trip moving forward, you have that one to look back on. And I think that the opportunities ahead with Boise State, Nevada, I mean, that could be something that really gets this team rolling coming conference play.
Yeah, it's encouraging to hear. I remember that game now because Day Grant put up like 30
Yeah,
plus.
he hit his 2,000 points in his career that game, which is
So after the season was over, Day Grant, Jimmy Clark, Keith Dambrot all enter the Hall of Fame as individuals. And then so does the entire 23-24 men's basketball team. The waiting period was waived and had never happened before, if I'm not mistaken. Conlon, you're actually in the Duquesne Hall of Fame because
yep.
you're on that roster as one of the staff members. By the way, I want to go and bring up something here. I think Conlon's got a lot of cool posts on his Instagram page, and you're getting a look at this because he sets it as private, but there's some cool posts here from some good memories through the years. There's a
Yeah.
good shot there. I'm just going to scroll through some of these. And there you are with the trophy next to Dave. You got the cut down part of the net here.
Climbing the ladder was pretty surreal. I'm not gonna lie.
Talk to
And
me
then that was
about
my view. So this video right here, the managers, they were only allowed one. So my junior year, there was one senior manager, so we let him have the pass, and then Drew and I sat on the bench. Literally, you could see it, like we were right behind, so we couldn't go on the
uh
court stuck. But I got that great view of the fans just cheering. It was a fun time. Omaha was a blast.
what was better, winning this game or winning the tournament game?
Tournament because that's tough. The tournament was fun because the momentum with the school and the city started to
Yeah,
build up. Like it really started to build up. Omaha was fun because we won, but we were so far away from home that like we were only celebrating with ourselves. Everything else was on
yeah.
social media. Whereas, Brooklyn, we won and then got to come home for a day and we were the talk of the town pretty much. So I would definitely say Brooklyn.
Yeah, when you guys came back, I mean, the energy on campus was literally palpable.
Yeah.
And this is there's you with Max Edwards. So this
Yep.
is, I mean,
Yeah.
this is from last season.
Correct.
That's last year's team. And then there's one of my favorite guys as well. This is Drew Weil,
Yep.
Conlon's classmate, both sports info and media majors. Actually, I can't always remember with Drew if he majored or minored in it, to be quite honest. I forget. But he was always in class.
Yeah.
I know for sure you're major. Sometimes I lose track if guys are majoring or minoring. They take some of my classes as electives. But yeah, two guys, two Duquesne Athletics Hall of Famers, and well deserved. It was, yeah, when you guys won that whole thing, man. You could just tell, and you're from this area too, so you
Yeah.
knew how, like, you felt the city and you felt the campus energy. I got to say that I've never been in an environment in person that felt like the Power Center felt when we had a watch party to see you guys play BYU in the first round.
Yeah.
I watched the A10 final here at my house with my family, and they never saw my kids said I'd never seen Dad act that way before because I was pounding the walls and I was screaming. I was in the red and blue crew when they were like 3 and 26 or whatever it was. So I mean, I put my time in, and to see them win was beyond my wildest dreams. But then to go to the tournament, I thought, well, this will be fun. The watch party will be fun. But that game just kept going and going, and Jakob Net just took over, and Day and Jimmy did their thing, and I'm like, this is just magical. I couldn't believe we got more excitement out of that season. I had never been in an environment because I didn't get to go to the Pirates wild card game in 13, but that sort of exorcism feeling, like we're releasing 47 years of frustration at Duquesne, like 47 years since we had a real major postseason win. Like that's longer than the Pirate streak was, so I mean,
Correct.
it really felt, um, I mean, it felt like an exorcism. No pun intended, being on a Catholic campus. But I mean, we just lost our minds in the Power Center, and I had to cancel class. They said, "Listen, it's just class is canceled due to March Madness. No one's going to come to class and pay attention to me right now. It's kind of pointless." So we made up the work, and it actually changed my life because was a celebrity for like at least 24 hours. It was pretty cool, man. You guys were such a big part of that for me. So I want to
Yeah,
thank
that was
you and
awesome.
everyone on that
You
team.
you were the Andy Warhol theme that you
Yeah,
were famous for 15 minutes,
I had
world
my
famous
15 minutes. I had my 15. I really did.
minutes of fame.
I was
I
watching
will
Sports
say,
Center that night, dude. I was and my name popped up. I'm sitting there watching Sports Center. My name pops up, and they're like Robert Hilly, and I'm like, that's my full name on Sports Center. If you'd have told me when I was 7, when I'm watching it, eating my cereal in the morning, watching Chris Berman highlights, that I would be on Sports Center. And then Pat McAfee on his show shouts out, "Thank you, Professor Healy." I'm like, is this really happening? Is this like?
yeah, it's creepy. I will say one of my favorite memories that wasn't like on the court was remember, we were the second game, I think, to tip off in Omaha, throughout all March Madness. We were the first in Omaha. I
Hmm.
think second on that
Right.
Thursday, and it was 11:35. I think like we were an hour behind everybody basically. And I remember winning, and we're all fired up, and we get back to the hotel, and it's like 3 o'clock, and like the coaches stayed because they were watching Illinois, Morehead State, oh, so close to knocking them off. But I just remember it was so weird because like me and the other managers are, hanging out in our room, watching the March Madness games, watching, Dayton play. I think it was Nevada actually. And we're sitting there and we're like, we're in the next round here. Like these teams are already fighting for what we already have. So that was really weird. And then you scroll through your phone and it's Duquesne and the campus is going nuts. And it's just like, here I am in Omaha in the hotel lobby. Like, but it was such a wild experience that, I would not trade for the world for sure.
Yeah, you'll take those memories with you, man, all the way to the grave. That
Yeah,
was it was really
absolutely.
special. Um, not only did we go to the tournament for the first time in 47 years, we actually won a tournament game for the first time since the late 60s, and that was just so special. So we could talk about this all day. Obviously, we could do a whole episode reminiscing about this game and this
Yeah.
event. I do want to give the Duquesne ladies their due diligence. The Duquesne ladies unfortunately did lose the game to Davidson. This game was on the road at Davidson. 72-55 was the score. This game was played on December 3rd. I'm gonna go ahead and bring up the box score. Here's my issue with the ladies so far, guys. I don't really want to say it's issues, and that's kind of unfair. They're still better than I thought they were going to be this year, and that's also probably unfair because I just didn't know a lot about them. Having lost Megan McConnell, having lost Journey Kiyaku, Gabby Graham Medley is back after being away for a year with an injury. I just didn't quite know what to expect. I obviously hadn't seen Alexis Bordas play because she wasn't in our state, even though she was real close. I didn't know anything obviously about Raven Washington, and she's been a great surprise. Harriet Ford's been really fun to watch, so I'm excited about them. I don't expect them to, be a team to compete for the conference championship, but I definitely still find it to be an intriguing and interesting team to watch. What do you say, Conlon?
I think that they're still based on because I actually did watch most of that Davidson game. I think that they have a lot of unique. They have a lot of good pieces on that team. I think they're just honestly they're just still figuring it out. They're still kind of, and I think our men. You could say the same thing about our men's. But I feel like with the girls, it's definitely they have talent for sure, and they can shoot it. And like you said, that Raven's a beast. And they
Hmm.
just need to kind of get a rotation down, figure it out. And again, as time comes on, they'll figure it out. But I mean, I'm definitely not I'm like not worried about them. I think they'll do good, and they got a pretty good schedule I was looking at. So yeah, she can play.
She can really play. And Harriet Ford, I love what I've seen out of Harriet Ford. So I love the fact that these are young players. I know Harriet
Yeah,
Ford transferred here, but she's only a sophomore and Raven's a freshman. Um, I can only see them getting better, quite frankly. They're not very, if I'm going to pull up their roster right now, I'm actually struggling to identify who the seniors are. So I'm going to go ahead and sort by class. Um, I think GGM might be a senior by now. But no, look at this. There's not a senior on the roster, guys. I stand corrected. So my mistake. Gabby Granamelli's only a redshirt sophomore because she missed that season. So I mean, I think this is a team to build on. I think the recruiting class is terrific. I actually like this young lady as well, Dunya Zaycevic. I think that a little bit of time that we've seen her has also been pretty good. I still like what Raina Green brings to the table. Of course, Dunya is a transfer. Let me go ahead and bring up this. Once again go back to the box score here. But yeah, I've got not really any huge complaints about the ladies. Who else? Mackenzie Blackford. She's sort of feast or famine.
yeah,
She's
Mac,
on. She's
Yeah,
on.
Mac with
but she's on.
Mac and
Yeah.
Alexis, I think once they, they're going to start shooting lights out, and they're going to be hard to guard.
Rudy, you were going about to say something maybe about Mac.
No, Blackford, she's on and off a little bit too much. And Harriet, we go, if you notice, we go how Harriet carries us. If
I
if we
agree.
if she has a bad game, we're not going to do well. Uh, and you know, so and Davidson, I mean, Davidson's going to be was tough. Uh, we were what 2 points down at half. So
They were
we
hanging
got
with them for a while.
yeah, they were
Yeah,
hanging with them for a while, and I just don't understand why. Yeah, like I
Third
said,
and fourth quarter really got away from us.
yeah, the third and fourth quarter, and third quarter, as you got to come out, uh, and take and do well in the third quarter, particularly if you're behind, and yeah, we just didn't do that the Davison game.
I agree with the sentiment that we'll go as Harriet Ford goes, because that's been what's
yeah,
happening so far. She's a double double machine, and I don't know the numbers, but it seems like when she gets a double double, we win.
Right.
I will say that she collects a lot of her own rebounds, and that's fine. It's just that I don't think she's quite yet got her touchdown at the rim. That happens sometimes. I don't think she's like Dennis Robin, where he would miss one on purpose just to get his own rebound. Because he honestly would. But with
that's
Harriet, she's just not finishing at the rim as much. I kind of like Raven Washington more offensively, but it's a good problem to have. I think we'll see. Maybe they'll go with the double bigs at some point, but it's not a bad rotation right now. It does keep them fresh. The ladies will play in Michigan against Eastern Michigan on Tuesday, December 9th, and then not again until December 14th, where they'll play Stonybrook like the men did. A lot of us, myself included, are going to the Pitt, the city game, and I speak for a lot of Dukes fans, and we love to beat Pitt at anything. They obviously got us in football this year. They won't play us in men's basketball. That's a whole other story. But I love playing Pitt in anything, so I'm looking forward to the women's city game, especially since it's dollar beers and post-game autographs. So my girls will love that. So I'll be there for sure. Please say hi if you spot me. And then, by the way, on New Year's Eve, dollar hot dogs. So you can do a lot worse for your bang for your buck going to watch a Division I women's basketball game at the Cooper Fieldhouse. I'm telling you, it's fun and it's affordable and it's good and it's a really good environment for kids too, especially if you have young girls. So I
How is
recommend it.
Pitt? How is Pitt looking this year?
Not
Not
good. They
great.
lost.
They
Not
lost to a
great.
Division III team. Yeah,
Oh,
University of
okay.
Scranton. Now they did beat Robert Morris in a game that Robert Morris kind of blew. Um, and then Robert Morris beat us. So,
Yeah.
transitive property, that means Scranton could beat us, right? So it doesn't, it's kind of,
Not to switch off to the girls to the guys, but I just feel like, it would kind of flow talking about Pitt. They lost tonight to Hofstra. So I also think if our guys can steal one, I guess like you could say out west. I mean,
Mhm.
this is an opportunity if the city of Pittsburgh wants to follow a basketball team this year, our team could be the team if they could really get moving. Because I don't think this Pitt basketball team this year's, they just don't have it like they have in years past. So I think if we could get rolling, especially, Pitt fans have watched John Hughley before, they're going to want to watch him again. So I think they have a really good opportunity to turn a lot of heads and have the main focus on us, especially because we're hosting the A10 tournament in Pittsburgh this year.
Good
Yeah,
point. Very good
absolutely.
point. It'd be a fun team to watch maybe come March. How long of a leash do you think Capel gets, by the way, Conlon?
I think it depends on how the rest of the non-conference goes, and then depending on how he does in the ACC. I think what hurts him is he's rejected NIT bids in the past, which, I understand you're, not happy about making the tournament, but that's also a resume builder. You can say
Oh, yeah.
right now it's just he's made one tournament in 8 years where he could say I made into a tournament and two NITs or something like that. So I think that definitely hurt him. It's really going to be interesting to see how the rest of the year plays out.
I'll never understand not wanting to play more games. I feel the same way about Notre Dame not playing a bowl game this year. Like I don't know if you make the NIT why you think you're above that, or why don't you just not look at it like a chance to try people out for next season, a chance to give some of your transfers the playing time that they may have not otherwise gotten. I mean, there's so much to gain from playing in it. So I feel the same way about the bowl game with Notre Dame turning it down this year. I don't quite understand it. That's a whole other topic. I want to mention, guys, a couple of the Olympic sports who are in season right now as well. So women's swimming and diving is in season, and recently the ladies, a couple of the Dukes ladies, went to Austin, Texas to compete in the Toyota U.S. Open. Senior Sydney Severini and sophomore Sierra Snow went out to compete there. Snow competed in the 100-yard backstroke. I'm bringing up sports info work from goduquesne.com. So shout out to the sports info office, Jacob Davey, Trey Staunch, Jim Duzick, and those guys. So it sounds like the prelims, she was 26th with Snow. She went to 22nd in the finals. And then in Saturday, in the 200-yard backstroke, she actually finished in ninth place in the finals. So that's a very big meet to finish that high. It was a personal best for her, and it qualified her for nationals this coming year. So that's fantastic. So huge shout out to Severini, especially in this competition. So that's really, really cool. If you finish top 8, your first team All-America at the NCAAs, and then 9 through 16, your second team All-America. So this is a young lady who, at a big major national event in the early part of their season, is finishing like what would be a second team All-America. So that's pretty cool. So kudos to Severini, Coach David Sheets,
In the
and the
future, I mean,
Glimmers. Say it again.
at nationals in the at nationals in the future, like this, upcoming, I'm guessing it's coming up soon. That
Mhm.
is another chance that you have the big Duquesne logo on the big stage, which is huge.
Yeah, always love that. Women's indoor track and field has started. So have the men, by the way. The way it works at Duquesne, if you're wondering, the men are only varsity for the outdoor season, but they do have an indoor team that competes alongside the women as club. But the women are varsity indoor and outdoor. It's just the way things shook out Title IX wise over the years. But I want to point out sophomore Rose Kuchera finished in first place at the YSU Icebreaker. So it's called the Icebreaker because it's winter, it's start of that season, but also it's the first of the season. And so I know I used to compete at this back in the day when I was on the team. She won the long jump, and this is a popular meet to be at. It's a very competitive meet. She won with a school record, so pretty cool start to the season for Rose Kuchera, especially in the women's indoor track and field team. So congrats to her on the program record and the gold medal finish in Youngstown. She's only a sophomore, so pretty cool stuff. As
She's
usual,
a
when you get to, oh, go ahead, buddy. I'm
Pan
sorry.
America. You're good. She's a Canamac alum too, so I'm a Canamac alum. She's a Canamac alum, so she's making the
The Big
game proud.
Macs.
Gotta love it.
Nice.
The Big Macs.
I
Yep.
forgot you were from down that way.
Oh yeah, Washington County.
Nice, nice. So we'll touch base with the basketball teams again next week. We'll look out for any kind of football news. I'm waiting to see, what comes of maybe All America honors for guys like Joey Isabella and the football team. We'll keep an eye on track and bowling and acrobatics and tumbling starts in February. So this is still the place to be for all things Duquesne athletics, not just basketball and football. Although that will be our bread and butter, obviously here into the stretch run at the end of non-conference and heading into conference play. By the way, that Davidson loss by the women does make them 0-1 in the Atlantic 10. Women's basketball sort of has this early conference game that occurs, in December, whereas for the men, they start in the new year. So if you're keeping track at home, the ladies are 0-1 in the A10, but the men have yet to begin conference play. So we hope to see you at the Cooper Fieldhouse coming up here, and we always love having you here, listeners and viewers on All Dukes Sports Talk, All Dukes Sports Talk on YouTube. Make sure you click the subscribe button. Please, the numbers help us. Make sure you are liking and sharing. Send it out to whomever, and this is your home for all things Duquesne athletics. For Colan O'Donoghue, for Rudy Longarini, I'm Bob Healy III. Guys, any last thoughts on anything Duquesne? I'll start with Rudy.
Well, I'm looking forward to going to Reno. It's a 2.5 hour drive for me. And, hopefully I can, get some attention from some guys, particularly if we win the game. I'd like to, go down to the court, or I don't know if I can get on the court, but anyway, in any case. So, yeah.
Just run on there, buddy.
Huh?
Just run down there. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Colin. Anything that you would like to add?
Well, Rudy, for sure. I don't know if there's gonna be many Duquesne fans in Reno, so I think you'll definitely be loved by the players if they pull that one off. No, I would just say that going into this week, there's a lot of opportunities, not only with Boise State and Nevada, but like I was kind of hinting before, it's kind of seems to be a down year for Pitt men's basketball. So I think if our guys can get a road win and out west and come back, this could be the start of something big moving into the new year.
I want to point out, if you haven't already, to go ahead and follow us on Twitter. So we're now on Twitter, or X, at Duquesne Sports. At Duquesne Sports is the username. So give us a follow. You can get that episode here. We'll obviously tweet that out. We also like to share it on Facebook. If you follow the Duquesne Basketball Facebook page on there, not the official school one, but there's a group for fans. Rudy will share it some other places on some message boards, but here's a chance for you to follow us on Twitter. We like to retweet things from around the Atlantic 10 and from around Duquesne athletics as well. Conlon, can't thank you enough for stepping in for us. BB Flannery was going to join us. BB was under the weather, but we'll try to get BB back on here maybe for next episode, and we'll try to angle to Drew Weil. So the other co lead manager from senior year, Conlon's buddy Drew, he's out doing the same kind of gig for. I think he's doing equipment for Florida State basketball, isn't he?
Correct. All sports, not just basketball. So
Oh, very
he's
cool.
doing swimming and diving, track and field. He's got a lot on his plate. That's why he couldn't join us. But I'd love to see what insight he has on the show, because he's a character, that's for sure.
And I'm sure Drew's keeping tabs on Duquesne.
Oh yeah.
He's a diehard as well. Well, Conlon, thanks a bunch for filling in for BB. Until next time, everybody, shoo shoo, rah rah. Let's go Dukes.
Let's
Dukes.
go, Dukes.